Good morning, good morning, good morning. Salam, and about holy people. We read in the Bible throughout the Old and New Testament locations that were considered holy, declared holy, named as holy. Um, there's just a lot of different things that are indicating that some places were holy and nobody knew about it. When you think about Jacob, I mean, the guy goes, he's tired. As the story goes, he is moved to take three smooth, round, small stones that are flat, kind of like river stones, 3, 4 inches thick, lay them side by side. Why three stones? Um, I believe it's because, if you're making a pillow out of rock, you want something about 2 or 3 inches thick. You want it smooth. You can put one under your head. If you roll over on your right side, you're going to need another one over there, and you roll to your left, you'll need another one over there. So it makes sense to me that he would have three stones. And of course, we know afterwards what he did with the stones. But that night he went to bed, he had no idea where he was in the spiritual realm. Physically, he knew he was going to lay down, take a nap, or go to sleep all night. And that night, he had the vision, saw, dreamed, experienced, whatever you want to call it. Um, and so we see an experience there where he laid down and he saw angels going up and down the ladder. And so when you talk about that, you know, it's just an amazing story, but it teaches. I mean, the whole word from Genesis to Revelations 22 teaches us how to know Him and how to know His Word and how to know His Word applies, but also how to know when we live walking the path, the narrow path, um, we can experience things. And I mean, here is Jacob, and all he did was lay down to go to sleep. I don't remember him praying before he laid down, Lord, show me things, you know, praying for angels. No, he laid down, he had a vision. Um, so what did he do? I mean, the guy experienced something amazing, saw the angels going up and down, almost like an elevator to heaven, and really the heavens, I should say. Um, and it really moved him. I mean, moved him so much that when he woke up, what did he do? He took those three stones, stacked them on top of each other, so it's like 6 or 8 inches high, and then he poured oil over it and dedicated it to the Lord and declared it, saying to everybody that this place is surely holy. I mean, we got the tabernacle, the temple in Jerusalem, Mount Sinai, and sites from Messiah's ministry like Capernaum, Nazareth, and the Mountain Transfiguration. Those sites were, you know, consecrated for worship, sacrifices, and divine encounters after the fact. Um, some of them, as far as the ministry of Messiah. But when it comes to Mount Sinai, Abba said, go here and go here and go here, and he took him through the Red Sea and took him to Sinai. He directed where to go, and he told Moses, come back, and he'd go back up the mountain again after he messed up. So we see there's places that have divine encounters in the Word. So the question then for us today is: is God dead? Is he mute? Did he stop talking? I mean, the 400 years of silence. I understand that in the Bible between Malachi and Matthew, there was no inspirations, prophets, revelations, things like that. But then throughout the New Testament, we see things happen. We see the Holy Spirit ministering. We see direction. We see visions. We see angels. So, but talking about the holy places, let's take a look at the holy place of Bethel. And like I said, uh, Jacob said, surely this is a holy place. And then he named it Bethel, which means the house of El. the house of God. El being the beginning of Elohim, El meaning the strongest, the supreme of all. And one of the most significant ancient sacred spaces mentioned in Hebrew Bible is Bethel. And so, that's an easy lesson to learn when you say, okay, the word led him here and there, but we don't hear audible voices. We don't see manifestations directing him. We see Jacob going where he's supposed to go and doing what he's supposed to do. Today, Bethel is in the modern day Arab village of Beitin, Beitin, in the West Bank, approximately 5 kilometers northeast of Ramallah. So, Jacob's dream site, a house of God, the house of Elohim, he named that place after he was sleeping on a stone and dreaming of a ladder. He anointed it, established it as a site for worship. Okay, then you got Abraham's altar, high places of worship, things like that. The golden calf, they tried to do that there at Sinai, and that got cursed. So we see human initiated things, we see divine initiated things. At any rate, when it comes to that story, it's easy to read the story of Jacob. You just go to the Bible and pull it up and read about Jacob dreaming. But the thing is, the ladder, I get a lot from that story. And the ladder is symbolic. I don't really physically think he saw a physical ladder. It's toward the end of Genesis 28. And he's actually not going by divine appointment, go here and minister that and direction like that. He's fleeing. He's fleeing to Haran. He sees a stairway or a ladder resting on the earth and reaching heaven. The angels go up and down. And the father stood above to promise Jacob the land, protection, and countless descendants, affirming the covenant of Abraham. So go back to what I said. It's a place. He's running from something, fleeing. He gets exhausted and tired and lays down and goes to sleep. And then something happens. The lighter versions, we'll go to the testimony. Because I've had that experience several times. I've gone to places where I was drawn to go here or go there to pray, to get alone and be with the Father. Kind of like Messiah went to Gethsemane. He'd pull away to the beach, he'd pull away to the sea, he'd pull away to the mountains, the high mountains. He'd get alone to pray. But where did he get alone? Was it just anywhere? Was it in the middle of a marketplace? And that's possible. That's where you're called. But one time I went to a resort high up in the mountains. It was a tribal community, modern tribal community. They had houses and everything. A lot of them lived in nipa huts. But I was invited to speak and do some consulting, and I went there, and they put me up at this place that had a lot of rooms. It was a resort, tribal resort, but it were like cabins. And some of them were connected, some were disconnected. And they took me in. The person checking me in took me back and put me in a cabin. And then I came out and, I had some time, and it was beautiful. It was up high in the mountains. The air was cool and clean and dry, and it was a wonderful day. And I noticed some birch trees growing, and there was a straight line and then just stopped. And there was nothing on the other side. And I could see all the way across to the next mountain. So I walked over to it, and when I got over to it, I was on the edge of a cliff. It dropped way down. I'm talking hundreds of yards down and to a stream. And I walked to the left. I walked back to the right along between the boundaries of the property, which is about 100 yards across. And there was a white plastic chair over by the last unit of another building. And I went and I grabbed that and I took it over to a place where I decided 3 times I passed by this place, I just felt inspired to stand there and pray. And my back was bad. I'd been traveling all day. So I went over and got the chair, came back, So at the chair where I wanted to pray, and then I sat down and I prayed. And then I got up and I went back to my cabin, and then the desk clerk came over and knocked on the door and said, "Can I ask you something?" And I said, "What?" And they said, "Why did you go to that spot and stop and sit down? I mean, you walked all over the place, but then you picked that spot. You even moved a chair over there." I said, "Well, I wanted to pray, and I just had this feeling when I got there that that was where I was supposed to pray at." And she told me, she said, "Every time we have a minister that comes and stays with us, we put him in this room, and every single minister goes out and they walk around and they end up stopping in that spot, and they all go grab that chair and pull it over to that spot and sit down and pray." And honestly, when I prayed, I didn't see angels or ladders or a Jacob experience, but I just felt like a waterfall of a cool energy, or God's power, or the presence of God, or the wind, the breath, the aura. It blessed me. And I've had that happen many, many times where I've gone places and got alone to go pray, and then later find out that many, many people go there and pray. And I had no idea. And then I think about what it said in the Bible when Messiah went to a known place of prayer. So I'm not going to spell it out and teach a long time on this. It's already over 11 and a half minutes, but you need to do that. Look it up in the Bible, known place of prayer, that Messiah went to a known place of prayer. Read the story again about Jacob and about other places, and do a study about places. I'll do a series on it if I have to, but get alone and get with him. And if nothing happens but the hair on your body stands up, some manifestation that he's with you, the power is there, that he's always with us. But, right now, the hair is standing up on my arms. I mean, just in the back of my neck. As I speak of these things, remember these things, and inspired to talk about these things, then I know this is a message from him, that we need not only to pray, but to pray in known places of prayer, or go discover a place of prayer. The Bible says to enter your closet. Well, that could mean covering yourself with your prayer shawl, squat down in the desert and cover yourself up, or, so you can have some privacy. That's not covering your head. I'm not talking about that. I'm talking about actually a tent. Paul was a tent maker. We're possibly a talent maker, a prayer shawl maker. Why a prayer shawl? Is fabric holy? No, but he can make it holy. You can consecrate, dedicate, sanctify, anoint. And look what Jacob did. He poured oil on these stones, and then after he poured the oil, he dedicated it. The oil of dedication, the anointing oil. And so it was already anointed by God, by Abba. And so we see that. So find a place to pray that is holy, and go there, go seeking that, and he will show you and confirm to you where you should stand, where you should kneel, where you should lay down, where you should lay out on your bed. I mean, like Jeremiah did many times, and go into a trance, or Ezekiel did. You think Ezekiel's bed was holy, or Jeremiah's mat or cot was holy? Well, it was if he was doing holy work. Or maybe it was holy, and that's why he went into a trance, because every time he went there, he had peace and quiet and could pray. And then the power of God would come over him and show him things. So if you want more answers, or you want more direction, and you look at the prophets of the Old Testament, we see a lot of things, and most of those things are directed by him, and they're not necessarily good things for the people that they were going to minister to. And very rarely was it for them. It wasn't like they went and asked for, questions. They just went and sought him and repeated what he said, became an oracle. Didn't deliver the message, became the mouthpiece. So think about it, pray about it, go find a place, get alone and get with him. I can guarantee you, it becomes addictive. I mean, not literally addictive, but you just, a minute in the presence of him is, what's a million years apart from him? I can testify to that. I felt alone in this world a few times, but I tell you what, every time I've been really, really alone, the most alone I've ever been, I didn't feel it. I felt the most intimate, because I had no distractions. I'm not anti-social interaction at all. I love people. I love to interact and be social. But when it comes to time with him, humanity pales by comparison. So I could go on for days. This is already getting into the longer messages. So this is Flybite. Shalom. And please like, click, subscribe, share. Let's help build this channel to the point where we can reach a lot more people that don't know these things. If I say things that inspire you or thank you or bless you in any way, let me know. Feedback is encouraging. Love you. Shalom.